Hidden in the vaults of the 90s are 3 Tekken comics the world forgot, stories that were printed, lost, or never released beyond Japan's borders. This is the untold history from Tekken Saga to Tekken Forever, where the West tried to rewrite Tekken's legacy. Let's start at the beginning, 1996. A company called Aspect published the first official Tekken manga, 7 volumes of chaotic, over-the-top storytelling that tried to make sense of the early games. On the first page, Jun is seen helping an orca back into the sea. She thanks the team and promises to return to HQ later. "Let's go," she says softly, guiding the orca into the water. The crew on the ship whisper among themselves. Kazama's a strange girl. She can heal any wounded animal, they say. As Jun swims alongside the orca, she murmurs under her breath, "Don't let the poachers catch you again." Suddenly, a powerful whirlpool begins to form around her. Her eyes widen in shock as the orca seems to lift into mid-air, carried by a surge of water beneath it. Then, a man, Kazuya Mishima, appears, striking the orca with a brutal uppercut. Kazuya stands there, cold-hearted, with the orca splattered in a million pieces behind him. Jun's gaze locks at the figure standing before her. Her heart skips a beat as anguish washes over her. The next page shows a tense standoff. Kazuya's expression is evil and Jun's face hard and soulless. With a sudden surge of anger, Jun charges at him, slamming her hands into his chest. "What did you do to that orca?" she demands. Kazuya scoffs, shoving her aside and gripping her hand with a crushing force, eliciting a sharp cry of pain. "I won't let anyone stand in my way," he says, pinning her to the ground and tightening his grip on her shoulders. "Are you afraid of me?" Jun's voice is steady but fearless. "There's nothing to fear from a scumbag like you." Kazuya smirks and finds it amusing. Enraged, he raises his fist to strike. "Die!" he shouts, preparing to crush her. Just then, a beam of light from a helicopter cuts through the darkness, illuminating both of them. "This time I won't let you escape," shouts Lei Wulong. Kazuya hesitates, then slowly retreats towards the ocean. Jun leaps to stop him. "I'm Jun," she says, "and I work with the WWC, and I won't tolerate any animal abuse." Kazuya turns around and smirks. "Kazuya Mishima, woman, come to me if you dare," he says. Before more confrontation can be on hold, Lei Wulong dives from the helicopter, splashing into the water as Kazuya slips away onto a ship and vanishes. Later, Jun and Lei reach a small hut alongside the shore. Jun, holding her pet monkey, introduces herself as Jun Kazama and asks about Kazuya's origin. Lei explains grimly that Kazuya Mishima is terrifying. He personally defeated his father and killed him, and now the Mishima Zaibotsu is under his command. Jun's eyes widened, wondering why he would do such a thing. Lei Wulong's frustration boils over him. He punches the wall, bandaged fists leaving marks. That was the perfect chance. The Iron Fist tournament is our only option. Jun's curiosity peaks as she wonders, the Iron Fist tournament? Lei explains that it is a global martial arts competition organized by the Mishima Zaibotsu to determine the strongest warrior. If Kazuya is involved, he'll surely appear, he warns, trying to dismiss the gruesome reality. Jun reflects quietly, thinking of the orca she once saved, and picks up her phone. "Dad?" she asks. Her father's voice is calm but encouraging. "Jun, no matter how difficult it may be, if you run in fear, you'll never move forward. Take the first step. I'll always believe in you." Jun is motivated by her father's words and rushes ashore to join Lei as he prepares to board his helicopter. "I'm going to enter the Iron Fist tournament too," she declares. Lei protests, warning her of the dangers, but Jun is resolute. At the tournament, Jun demonstrates her mastery of the Kazama-style traditional martial arts. She sends a formidable opponent crashing to the ground, leaving the crowd in awe. The other fighters are shocked to see such power in such a young lady. She whispers to herself, "Wait for me, Kazuya Mishima." The Iron Fist tournament is finally underway. Paul Phoenix roared down the highway on his motorcycle, and his iconic blonde hair standing tall in the wind. "I'm late," he shouts. He skids to a halt before a suspension bridge, glancing around, wondering what kind of place this is. Deciding it was a good shortcut, he sped across the bridge, only for it to snap beneath him, sending him plummeting below. The scene shifted to Jun Kazama standing before the tournament officials. "I want to participate in the Iron Fist tournament," she declares. The crowd murmured and laughed, mocking her determination. Lei Wulong frowned. "Don't be rough with her," he warned. As the guards try to stop her from entering, suddenly a loud voice interrupts. With a confident and almost cocky tone, Jun froze. "Kazuya Mishima?" The name echoed painfully in her mind as she steadied herself. She demanded, "Do you know anything about Kazuya?" Paul raises an eyebrow painfully and says, "Kazuya?" and he asks if she is in love with him. "Jun Kazama," she shouts with her firm voice. "I will catch that man." From the shadows, Li Chaolen smirks. "Interesting. Let that young lady through," he said coolly. "You're nothing but a pawn in Kazuya's game." Paul turned as Li stepped forward. "Phoenix," Li said. Your opponent has been waiting for you. Behind him, a massive figure emerged, Armor King. Sorry for the wait, Paul muttered, slipping his jacket on and stepping into the ring. Lee turned back to Jun. Every fighter has their purpose, some for money, some for glory, and others to challenge their limits, and a few to defeat Kazuya Mishima himself. In the ring, another battle began, Michelle Chang versus Ganryu. Ganryu lunged forward, his booming voice echoing Doskoi, a summoned shout meaning to intimidate. He nearly crushed Michelle before she countered, spinning and kicking him across the face. Ganryu roared and grabbed her, squeezing with immense force. Michelle gasped in pain and her ribs cracked under the pressure. "Stop this," Jun cried, but Lee remained calm. "If she wants to, she can forfeit," he says, but Michelle refuses to yield. She slammed her palms against Ganryu's ear, stunning him. The announcer voice rang out, "The winner, Michelle Chang." Lee turns to Jun. "She's your next opponent," he said. Michelle stepped into the ring again, clutching her side, but determination burned in her eyes. "Broken rib or not, I will keep going," she mutters. Jun hesitates and says that I can't attack someone that's already injured. "Don't be ridiculous," Michelle snapped. "I'm not doing this for fun." She rushed forward, kicking Jun sharply under the chin. "Go home and cry if you can't handle this." With Jun's mind staggered, visions of Kazuya flood her mind. His cold stare, his crushing grip, and the pain in her shoulders. "I remember that humiliation, the regret," she whispered. Her body moved instinctively, her hands trembled and steadied. "I will win," she shouts. She strikes Michelle with a precise elbow to the face. Michelle counters, but Jun's movements were too calm and predictive. Michelle falters and says, "Mum, hold on," she cries, just before Jun's left kick struck her stomach. She collapses as the announcer shouts, "The winner, Jun Kazama." Jun rushes to Michelle's side, cradling her. Michelle smiles weakly and says, "I don't care what happens to my ribs. I just want to find my mother," as tears run down her face. Later, in the hospital, Jun, sat by Michelle's bed, mentions, "You mentioned your mother." Michelle nods and says, "My mum knew where the lost treasure was. She was kidnapped by Kazuya Mishima, and I entered the tournament to save her." Jun squeezed her hand and says, "They were both fighting for something important, and I will win for you," she said with a warm smile. They laughed together quietly. Soon after, Jun stood alone on the seaside cliff, the wind whipping her hair. "I'll fight as hard as I can," she whispered, "and I will defeat you, Kazuya Mishima." Suddenly, she was pushed backwards, her eyes wide open in shock, as she plummets into the darkness. A flashback emerged, Jun standing in a cave, a twisted black tree looming behind her. "Dad," she shouted. A figure cloaked in light turned away. "Listen to your heart, and I will always be with you," his voice echoed. "Don't go," she cried, but he vanishes. Jun awoke in the darkness. A low growl filled the cave. A massive grizzly bear stood before her. Instead of fear, she felt compassion. "You must be surprised," she said gently, raising her hands. "Don't be afraid." Slowly, she approached and embraced the bear, and the two rested together for warmth. Suddenly, an old man appears in the shadows. "Kazuya Mishima," she gasps as she sees him, but the man shook his head, weeping. "I'm not Kazuya. Kazumi," he mutters. "She was too good for me. My wife, my burden. You're just like her," as he falls to his knees and weeps in her arms. Before Jun could even get a reply, Lei Wulong's voice echoed through the cavern. "Jun, are you there?" The old man vanishes as Lee returns. "That man, Heihachi Mishima," Lee said gravely. "He was supposed to be dead. Kazuya's father." The story shifted to a luxurious yacht sailing the Pacific. The tournament announcer congratulates everyone as the party is glittered with criminals, dealers, and fighters alike. Jun appeared in an elegant dress, stunning those around her. Lei looked away flustered. Then a hush fell as a striking woman entered, Nina Williams. The announcer turns his head, looks up, and says, "Greetings from your organizer," as Kazuya Mishima himself walks down the stairs with his classical Tekken outfit. As Kazuya reaches the bottom of the stairs, Paul Phoenix jumped up and says, "Kazuya, I've missed you. Let's fight right now." But Kazuya barely glanced at him. "Win the tournament first," he said, brushing him past. But chaos erupted as Nina flicked a switch. All of a sudden, the ship exploded into flames as Lei Wulong shouts to Jun to run. Amid the chaos, Kazuya battled Nina fiercely, his punches brutal and precise. A dark aura surrounds him, violent and demonic. Jun froze at the sight of that energy. She recognizes it's from the devil. The chandelier crashes and the fire spreads as Lei's helicopter rises into the sky. He laughed hysterically. "This Mishima family is mine now." Jun raced through the flames and found Kazuya kneeling on the shore, shirt torn, fist clenched. A massive beam from the wreck fell towards him. but Jun leapt in front, shielding him. Kazuya looked up. "You," he says. She replies, "I've come this far." He smirked. "You've come to defeat me then?" "I don't know," she whispers, thinking to herself. The fire begins to get ravenous and surrounds them both. As it caught onto her clothes, Kazuya tore the fabric away without hesitation. "You still don't understand that I killed my father," he said. Jun's eyes widened. "Your father?" He laughed darkly. "Run home and cry." Instead, she whispers, "You poor man." The words stunned him. "What did you say?" He growls in anger, gripping her shoulders. "You're powerful, but you don't understand the pain of others," she says softly to him. "You're pitiful, Kazuya Mishima." For the moment he froze. Their eyes met. His anger faded into confusion, then into something else entirely. "For the first time," he murmured, "you called me by my name." Their lips meet in a desperate fleeting kiss before the ship explodes behind them, tearing them apart as Jun falls into the sea. She was later rescued by Kuma and Heihachi. Jun, who is barely conscious, worries about the safety of the others on the ship, but Heihachi reminds her that these people don't die easily. As they land ashore, Jun asks, "Where are you going?" Heihachi smirks and smiles, says, "To end this. My son can't be defeated by strength alone." In the Mishima building over Tokyo Bay, Lee Chaolen took his place at the company's head. "Now that Heihachi's gone, the Mishima Zaibutsu is mine," he laughed. But a cold voice stopped him. "Is that so?" As he turned around, sat on the chairman's chair, looking at him with a demonic aura. Outside, lightning split the sky as Jun looked up towards the tower as the thunders echoed. The scene cuts to poor Phoenix laying lazily, looking at the storms. All of a sudden, Lee Chaolen bursts in, bloodied and broken. "He's coming," he gasped, collapsing. Kazuya appeared, drenched in blood, his eyes burning red. Trees split under his punches. Paul stepped forward, ready to fight, but Kazuya struck him with a demonic punch. Jun, miles away, felt her chest tightening. Kazuya, now possessed by this demonic rage, beats everyone around him senselessly, striking poor Phoenix so hard that he crashes onto a rock, seeming almost lifeless. Just before he can continue, he is stopped by the arrival of Heihachi, stomping down hard. "Look at you, what a disgrace." Kazuya, at the sight of his father, roars in anger and says, "Let's finish this." The two begin to fight as Heihachi throws a barrage of punches to his face, but Kazuya smirks in response, seeming almost unaffected by his attacks. Heihachi then begins to strike him in the stomach again with no effect. But then Heihachi pulls a dirty move and grabs Kazuya by the head and hits him with his signature headbutt, causing Kazuya to slide across the ground. Kazuya smirks and looks at him. Kazuya stands up and looks at his father and says that, "I'm not the child that you threw off that cliff." Heihachi replies that at the time, "You were defeated by the bad bloods that runs in my Mishima family." Kazuya then has a flashback of his mother, remembering the times where she turned away at his every glance. As Kazuya remembers his mother's face, he is interrupted by Jun's voice. As Kazuya is distracted, Heihachi takes the opportunity to snap Kazuya's arm in half. As Heihachi smirks, Kazuya instantly replies with an uppercut, causing him to fly into the sky. Without hesitation, Kazuya jumps onto Heihachi, endlessly punching Heihachi's face into the ground. Before Kazuya can get another final blow, Jun stops Kazuya and holds his arm, begging him to stop. Kazuya looks and pushes her away. He grabs his father by the throat and says, "Let them all be broken. Break," as he continues to be possessed by this demon. Jun stands up and replies with a slap, causing Kazuya to be in complete anguish and shock. Jun stands there, saying, "Stop hurting others and hurting yourself," as Kazuya sees his mother in Jun. He is blinded by the very sight and says to, "Don't look at me like that." This causes Kazuya to go into a frenzy and madness. He screams and shouts as he begins to transform. Heihachi then tells Jun that he's no longer a human. With a thunderous roar, Kazuya transformed, horns, wings and all. As Kazuya stands there completely transformed in mid-air, a close-up is seen with tears running down his face. The next scene opens on a badly beaten Kazuya, his body battered, chest heaving. Jun stands before him watching as his transformation completes. His massive wings unfurl from his back, dark and imposing, and his face twists into a fearsome visage of the devil himself. Without warning, a laser beam bursts from his third eye. Heihachi reacts instantly, leaping forward and shoving Jun out the way. "Get out of here." Before he could finish his sentence, Devil drives a crushing knee into Heihachi's stomach, sending him flying away. As Jun rises shakily, facing the monstrous form of Kazuya, the beam from his third eye grows brighter, pulsing with demonic energy, and without hesitation, Kazuya attacks Jun, causing a shock in both her mind and body. Visions flash before her eyes, their first encounter, the kiss they shared and the orca she once saved, memories of love, loss and pain. She collapses trembling onto the ground. Devil Kazuya then looms over her, reaching down with claws that glint in the firelight. Just as his hand closes in, Kuma, the massive bear who protected Jun, charges with a furious roar. Kazuya strikes, catches Kuma by the single neck, and then snaps it, causing it to collapse in an instant. "You killed the orca, and now the bear," Jun cries, tears streaming down her face. "You hurt your father and you hurt everyone." She glares at the emotionless devil. "I won't let this happen again." Jun launches herself, striking him into the chest for a brief moment, a strange look across Kazuya's face, almost like sorrow, as a single tear rolled down his cheek. Then his wings flap violently, sending Jun flying into a tree. Devil Kazuya lifts off into the sky, crashing through the dome that contained them. He flies into the sky, causing summons of meteorites to fall down onto the city. As the world around them begins to engulf in flames, Kazuya seems completely lost and fully possessed by the devil within. "Is it the world you're trying to destroy, or yourself?" Jun whispers, shaken and unable to see clearly as the chaos unfolds around her. Kazuya continues to command the meteorites to fall in a devastating storm, tearing the city apart. Suddenly, a loud, angelic voice echoes across the battlefield. Jun looks up to see Angel, wings spread wide, descending from the sky. The force of her presence pushes Devil Kazuya back as he shields his face from the intense wind. "Jun Kazama, get out of my way," he shouts, but Angel stands firm. Meteorites continue to crash around him, the city burning in the background. Kazuya lands, his aura flickering, as Jun lies on the ground exhausted but alive. Kazuya says to himself, wondering if she is dead, clenching his fists. "I thought you were going to beat me," he shouts. All of a sudden, the ground beneath her breaks and Jun falls, plummeting. In the blink of an eye, he reaches out and grabs Jun, preventing her from falling into the ground. Kazuya cradles Jun in her arms as he flies towards the sky. Jun says, Kazuya, right?" as she opens her eyes. "It was dark and lonely, but I knew you'd come." He hesitates and his voice trembling. "Why would you believe in me so much? Even my parents abandoned me. I am fear itself." Jun places her hand on his chest. "I'm not afraid of anything," she says, soft but resolute. "And even if the world fears you, I still love you," she declares. Kazuya freezes, memories flashing through his mind. His mother's laughter, his father's guidance, moments of warmth and happiness together. He thinks to himself that, "I forgot people could be warm. It's just the two of us." Their lips meet in a desperate kiss as the sky lit by falling meteorites. He tells Jun that he promises he'll return and flies towards the largest meteorite ready to destroy it. The whirlwind of debris and energy swirls around him, lighting the sky with fire and magic. Jun's heart begins to race as she watches the battle between Devil Kazuya and the meteorite rages above. 5 years later, the Yakushima forest is calm, the sun is filtering through the trees, and a young boy sprints towards Jun. Jin Kazama. "Mum, you promised to teach me the martial arts. I'm going to be strong like you," he shouts, laughing. Jun kneels, smiling warmly. She pats his head, and a vision of Kazuya flashes in her mind. His face softened, distant, and a reminder of what she had endured and what she had fought for. "Where should we start?" Jun asks softly, as Jin's face begins to beam. Tekken Forever is a 2001 comic published by Tidal Wave Productions. The single-issue comic tried to cram the entire Tekken storyline into one chaotic package, and trust me, it's as wild as it sounds. Our story opens inside Ogre's temple, and it's already in complete chaos. Bodies are scattered everywhere. Kazuya Mishima, who was supposedly dead, stands victorious over a pile of unconscious fighters. We're talking about Paul Phoenix, Ling Xiaoyu, Forest Law, King, and Kuma, and several others are laid out on the temple floor. Only Jin Kazama remains conscious, kneeling over a mysterious woman covered in a black substance. The woman is unknown, and Jin seems to know her identity. He gently sets her body down, telling her she deserves rest. Jin stands up and calls out Kazuya and his men, and that he's not backing down. Bruce and Ganryu step forward to block his path. The fight then begins. Jin makes quick work of Ganryu, and next takes his turn with Bruce Irvin, making comments about how Jin reminds him of his father. Jin defeats Bruce too and delivers a cold line, "I am nothing like Kazuya." With both bodyguards down, Jin points directly at Kazuya and issues a challenge saying that you are next. The story suddenly shifts locations to Egypt. Detective Lei Wulong from Interpol has been tasked with arresting Kazuya. With help from Gunjack, Lei infiltrates the temple, armed and ready. But he immediately runs into trouble. An army of Cyborg Jack blocks his path. Things get worse when Brian Fury, Lei's old enemy and dangerous killer, ambushes him from behind. Just when it looks bad for Lei, Yoshimitsu swoops in to save the day. The benevolent ninja helps Lei fight back and drops possibly the most infamous line in the entire comic: "How many quarters you got?" A cheeky reference to the arcade fighting games. Together, Lei and Yoshimitsu face off against Brian and the Jack army. Back at the temple, poor Phoenix finally wakes up from getting knocked out earlier. He sees Jin fighting Kazuya and decides to jump in with the most ridiculous entrance. He calls out Kazuya. Paul and Jin then team up, delivering a brutal combo attack that sends Kazuya crashing through the temple floor. For a moment, it looks like they have won. The comic briefly shifts to a supernatural realm, the afterlife. As the temple begins to calm down, more fighters start waking up. Ling Xiaoyu, King regain consciousness and introduce themselves to each other. Other fighters begin staring too, creating a sense that the battle isn't over. Hwarang then enters, the hot-headed Korean fighter who never backs down from a challenge. He arrives at the temple looking for a fight, completely unaware of the bigger picture. Hwarang's aggressive attitude towards Xiaoyu triggers something inside Jin, and when Jin perceives that Ling Xiaoyu might be in danger, his devil gene activates. This is a demonic power inherited from the Mishima bloodline, and is terrifying when it awakens. The activation of Jin's devil gene has an unexpected consequence. It awakens Kazuya from the pit where he has been knocked down. Kazuya rises in a burst of hellfire and dark energy. More powerful than before, his devil powers are fully unleashed now. Jin collapses, overwhelmed by his own transformation, falling unconscious at his father's feet. Standing over his unconscious son, Kazuya makes a terrifying declaration. He vows to murder everyone Jin loves, every friend, every ally, and everyone Jin cares about. His goal? To force Jin to the dark side and absorb all of Jin's devil power for himself. This is where the comic ends, on this dark cliffhanger, with Kazuya promising destruction and Jin helpless on the ground. And why did it end, you ask? Well, the comic promised a second issue featuring Anna vs Nina, but it never actually happened. Image Comics and Tidal Wave never published issue 2, likely because of poor sales and critical reception, and the comic became a forgotten curiosity in Tekken history. And that's Tekken Forever, a comic that tried to do way too much in too few pages. With cheesy dialogue, over-the-top action, and a cliffhanger that never got resolved, it's become a legendary piece of bad Tekken media. Love it or hate it, it's definitely memorable.